Hi everyone, welcome to this Tutor to You BTEC National Revision live stream. Tonight you're revising Unit 3 Anatomy and Physiology with me, Liz. Let's have a look at what we're going to do. We are going to look at the nervous system, the endocrine system, the lymphatic and the immune system, which is heaps to get through and we probably won't manage it all. As ever, please do go on the website, the Tutor to You website, and download the PowerPoint after the live stream because there are bonus activities on there. I'm sure you've all joined me before, so you know what to do. As I go through the activities, type your answers into the chat function and I will shout you out. And if you have any questions or queries, do type them in there. If I get a chance, I will answer them, but we've got loads to get through and I don't want to waste any time because you're just over a week away to your exam for January. So let's get into it, okay, guys? So our first set of activities are true or false. I'll read out the statement and I want to know, are they true or false? You can give me a T or an F, a thumbs up or thumbs down, a smiley face or a sad face in the chat. So the first one, true or false? The central nervous system consists of nerves and ganglia outside the brain and spinal cord. What do we think? Is that statement correct or not? I'll just give you a moment. Not going to hang around too much tonight though, guys, because there is so much to cover. Okay, I'm going to move on. That is actually false, and the next statement might shed some light onto that. So the second one, is it in fact the case that the central nervous system, also known as the CNS, actually consists of the brain and spinal cord? Is that one true or false? What do we think? It is actually true. So the CNS is your brain and spinal cord and everything inside it. Kamaljit, hi, well done. Tamim, hi, well done. Both got it right, well done, brilliant. Okay, next one. True or false? Sensory neurons, also known as afferent neurons, transmit sensory information from the sensory organs, such as eyes, ears and skin, to the central nervous system. What do we think, guys? Is that true or false? Give you a moment to think. Tamim, Kamaljit, let's see what you've got for me. Okay, Tamim says true. Kamaljit, do we know about this one? Kamaljit saying true as well. Brilliant, guys, well done. That is correct. Okay, statement 4. Motor neurons, also known as efferent neurons, transmit signals from muscles or glands to the brain. Is that true or is that false? Have a think about this one. Give you a moment. Okay. That one is false. And maybe the next statement is going to help us out here. So motor neurons, also known as efferent neurons, transmit signals from the central nervous system to the muscles or glands, causing them to contract or secrete. So if it's a muscle, the motor neuron, does it send a signal to contract? If it's a gland, does the motor neuron send a signal to secrete? True or false? Kamaljit is saying true. And you would be right. Excellent. So that's a really good start on our nervous system. Okay, so interneurons, some of you might not have heard of these before, and that's fine. They're also known as association neurons. Do they act as intermediaries between the sensory and motor neurons? And are they primarily involved in processing information within the central nervous system? True or false? What do we think? If you look at this from a kind of like a sensibility point of view, inter means between. So are they intermediaries between sensory and motor neurons? I think process of elimination, we can say yes, that is true. Okay, moving on. I like a 60-second activity. So as you know, we have an autonomic nervous system which is split into the parasympathetic, also known as the PNS, and the sympathetic, the SNS. So parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. I want you to look at those 8 statements on the right hand side of your screen and try and work out whether they fit into PNS or SNS. So the way you can tell me your answer in the chat is you could choose one of those, PNS or SNS, whichever one you're most secure with. put that initials into the chat and then give me the numbers of the statements that link to that system, okay? I've got 60 seconds on the clock. It is quite dramatic, high pressured music, so don't let that put you off. Let's go. So Tamim, Cameljit, anyone else at home? What do we know about the PNS and the SNS? See some answers coming through. Well done. Still got some time. Okay, so Tamim and Cameljit are disagreeing. They've both talked about the parasympathetic, but they have slightly different answers. Als agrees with one of Cameljit's and one of Tamim's. Okay, let's have a look then. So the parasympathetic nervous system is also known as the rest and digest system. This is the part of your nervous system, that is active during periods of relaxation. It slows your heart rate and it stimulates your digestion, hence being known as rest and digest. Whereas the sympathetic nervous system is also known as your fight or flight system, and it prepares your body for action. So this might be if you need to run away from danger, for example. It increases your heart rate. When your heart rate increases, that means there's more blood flow, oxygen, nutrients getting to your muscles so you can run away. And it inhibits your digestion. That means it stops your digestion. That's because if you're preparing to fight or run away, then you don't need to waste time on digesting your food. You need to be prepared for action, okay? So that's the difference between those two systems. Remember, you can download the PowerPoint after the live stream. You can also replay the live stream. So if you're not sure on the difference between PNS and SNS, you can go back and look at this again at the end, okay? Right, so connection wall. Hopefully you all know how to do this one. I'm going to show you 12 key phrases on the screen and you can group them into 3 groups of 4. Now I've given you the connection to make it a bit easier, so let me show you. I want you to start in square A2, which says Parkinson's disease. So I want you to find 3 facts that link to Parkinson's disease. So in the chat, just put the numbers that link to Parkinson's disease. So these might be characteristics, symptoms, effects, what is happening, so what type of condition it is. See what you can remember about Parkinson's disease. And you can just type the letter and the number, no need to type out the whole thing. So do we know what causes it? Do we know what symptoms it has? And do we know what else it could cause? If you're not sure about that one, then have a go at multiple sclerosis, which is marked in green, that's in B2. So what do you know about multiple sclerosis? And if you're happy with that one, or that one's too challenging, you could finish up with dementia in A1. Okay, Tamim, so you're saying D, which number? So Cameljit is saying C3 and A3 linked to Parkinson's. So C3, loss of dopamine producing neurons. I agree with you, Cameljit. That is what causes Parkinson's disease. And then you've said A3, wide-ranging symptoms including numbness, weakness and fatigue. Not sure about that one. Tamim says 2D. An umbrella term for progressive neurodegenerative conditions. I think that might be one of the other ones, Tamim. Let's have a look and we can discuss them. Okay, so Parkinson's disease, as Kamaljit said, is a loss of dopamine producing neurons. The main symptoms are tremors and rigidity. So because it affects the motor neurons in the body, it gives you motor symptoms. So tremors means shaking, and rigidity is it can affect the face. In fact, it can make the face of someone with Parkinson's disease expressionless, so very blank, and it can also make the arms and the legs quite stiff, so they have quite a stiff or stumbling movement when they walk. But it can also cause cognitive impairments and depression. Okay, let's move on to multiple sclerosis, and ours has given us B3, autoimmune disease where the body attacks the myelin sheath in the central nervous system, interfering with signalling. Excellent, that is correct. Then you've said D3, but we know that one's Parkinson's, so that's not correct. You have said A3, yep, wide-ranging symptoms including numbness, weakness, fatigue, absolutely agree with you. And B1, yep, characterised as having relapsing and remitting course, yep, so let's reveal those. So relapsing and remitting means that multiple sclerosis goes through periods where you're severely affected, and then you might have a period where the symptoms ease off and you're not so affected. So the relapsing is when you're affected, the remitting is when you're in remission, so you're feeling much better and you can walk around more easily. So that leaves dementia, and I'll just colour those squares in. So dementia is caused by abnormal changes in the brain structure, for example, a build-up of proteins which damages the neurons. It causes a range of symptoms that affect memory, thinking, the ability to perform everyday activities, language, behaviour, and it can also affect personality. And dementia is actually an umbrella term for a collection of progressive neurodegenerative conditions. Okay, so dementia is not one single disease, it's an umbrella term for multiple diseases. Okay, excellent work. We got there between all of us. Okay, so let's move on to the endocrine system. This can get quite complicated. I definitely feel for you guys revising this one. So let's start off quite hopefully simply. What are 3 functions of the hypothalamus? Remember, that is a gland found in your brain. It's a structure in your brain. So can you tell me 3 things that the hypothalamus does? You could also call it roles, functions, responsibilities. Okay, and I'll give you 30-second timer. Okay, thank you. Tamim has come in and said controls body temperature and heart rate. Does anyone else have any answers to add? Kamaljit says controls hormones and maintains homeostasis. And Al's is saying body temperature regulation, heart rate, hormone release, especially pituitary gland. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Keep that in mind about the pituitary gland, Als. Okay, so 3 functions of the hypothalamus. Okay, so the hypothalamus does produce and release hormones, and the hormones that it produces and releases are those that initiate or inhibit release of hormones from the pituitary. Okay, so for example, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. It also regulates the autonomic nervous system, the ANS, so you guys are right saying heart rate, blood pressure and body temperature, and it also controls our circadian rhythms. Okay, so now what I want you to think about is what are the functions of the pituitary? So the hypothalamus and the pituitary work really closely together. What do you know about the pituitary gland? I appreciate this is getting a little bit trickier now, but I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, so Al's has given me growth, metabolism and hormone production. Kamaljit says controls the growth hormones, controls osmoregulation, and I think we hit return too quick there. Tamim says helps with growth and metabolism. Yeah, brilliant guys, you've been really revising really well. Okay, so the pituitary is also sometimes called the master gland because it secretes lots of hormones that regulate the activity of other endocrine glands in the body. So for example, it produces growth hormone, which stimulates growth and development of bones and tissues. So the hypothalamus releases those inhibiting and promoting hormones, which tells the pituitary to release or inhibit growth hormone. And also the pituitary releases reproductive hormones, for example FSH, which is your follicle stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone, which you might know as LH, which regulate the reproductive system and play a really key role in the menstrual cycle. So well done you guys, I'm definitely giving you a round of applause, that's really good. Okay, so big reveal. What happens here is I'm going to read out 5 clues. I'm going to reveal them one at a time, and I want to know what is hidden behind the question mark. If you think you know after the first clue, go ahead and have a go. If you need a couple more clues, that's fine as well. So this is an endocrine disorder, so I'm sure you know quite a few. If you want to have a guess, you can, but perhaps I'll move on quite quickly to clue 2. There are 2 main types, so it's an endocrine disorder with 2 main types. Would anyone like to have a go at answering from those 2 clues? I think it could be possible at this point. I'm wondering if Al's is going to get this one. They seem to be really on the ball tonight. Okay. Maybe typing. Let's go with the third clue. Okay, so endocrine disorder, 2 main types, both characterised by elevated blood glucose levels. I'm sure we're going to get an answer now. Come on guys, I believe in you. So disorder of the endocrine system, 2 types. Yep, Al's is saying diabetes, Tamim is saying diabetes. I think you could be correct. So due to either insufficient insulin production, resistance to insulin, or a combination of both. Type 1 is autoimmune and type 2 is due to a combination of genetic, environmental and lifestyle factors. And you are of course correct, diabetes or diabetes mellitus. Brilliant work, definitely getting a round of applause for that one. Yep, thank you Kamaljit, yeah, diabetes 1 and 2. Okay, so another endocrine disorder. This one is quite rare with a relatively low prevalence. So prevalence means the number of people in the population that have it. So not many people have this endocrine disorder. Does anyone know what it is just from those 2 clues? Type it in the chat if you do. Okay, third clue. It's characterised by the excessive production of diluted urine and a persistent thirst. So people that are thirsty all the time and produce a large amount of very diluted urine. Those are the key sort of signs and symptoms of this disorder. Does anyone know what it is? This one, there's a lot less awareness and knowledge of this condition. Okay, the 4th clue. It's related to problems with the hormone vasopressin, which is an antidiuretic hormone, and the kidneys. So ADH, vasopressin, the kidneys, they're all involved in this disorder. And the 5th clue, it can be caused by various factors, including trauma. So that would be, you know, having an injury to the body. It could be caused by a tumour somewhere in the body, particularly maybe in the kidneys. Can be caused by infection, and it can be due to genetic conditions. Does anyone know this one at all? It is on the specification, but I don't think it's one that we kind of tend to pay too much attention to. No? Al's is saying diabetes question mark. It's a type, it is called diabetes something, but it's not really diabetes, so it's a bit, yes, insipidus, exactly. It's called diabetes insipidus, but it's not really diabetes in the way that we commonly understand it. Okay, brilliant. Definitely a round of applause for Al's. Okay, another one. So another endocrine disorder. Most commonly caused by an autoimmune disorder. So it's most commonly an autoimmune issue. Let's give you another clue. It can also happen if you have types of surgery or if you have radiation therapies or certain medication. So if you have, for example, a type of cancer where you need to have radiation, especially around this part of your body, you might get this endocrine disorder. Does anyone, I'm kind of giving you a hint here. Does anyone have an idea? I'll give you the next clue. Common symptoms include fatigue, which is like extreme tiredness, weakness, weight gain, intolerance of the cold, dry skin, hair loss, constipation, muscle weakness, and if you're a woman, menstrual irregularities. Okay, Al's is saying thyroid. Yes, it affects your thyroid, but what is the name of the disorder? Let's have a look at the last clue. So the thyroid in this case is underactive, leading to insufficient production of thyroid hormones, which are responsible for regulating metabolism and bodily functions. Okay, Kamaljit has said hyperthyroidism with an ER. Is that, do we use the word hyper with an ER for something that is underactive or overactive? Okay, now Lubna is saying hypothyroidism, HYPO. Yep, Lubna, you are correct. Remember, hypo means under or low. So hypothermia, hypothyroidism mean too little, low, and then hyper means too much or high. Okay, well done to Lubna. Yeah, that's right, Kamaljit, yeah. Okay, another categorise. We're on to the immune system now. I know this is a whistle-stop tour tonight, so I'm going to give you 60 seconds and I want you to look at the phrases on the right-hand side. There are 8 of them, and I want you to think, are they describing T cells or B cells? Okay, T cells and B cells, both part of your immune system, have slightly different features and characteristics. So can we categorise those statements? I'll give you 60 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds of your time has gone already. Just 10 seconds left. Okay, great. So Tamim has said T cells number 1 and number 4. Kamaljit has said T cells number 1, number 4, number 6 and number 8. Okay. Anyone else want to have a go before I reveal? Lubna says T cells 1, 4 and 8. Okay, so we're all agreeing so far on 1, 4 and 8. What do we think about 6? Is Kamaljit right with number 6? Let's have a look. She is right. Okay, so T cells are a type of white blood cell. They coordinate the immune response. They target intracellular pathogens and abnormal cells, and they undergo maturation in the thymus or thymus. B cells are also a type of are also a type of white blood cell. They produce antibodies, also known as immunoglobulins. They target extracellular pathogens, so that's pathogens that are circulating outside of the cells, and they undergo maturation in the bone marrow. Okay, so intracellular means inside cells, and T cells fight intracellular and abnormal cells themselves, whereas B cells are targeting the circulating pathogens that are outside of the cells. Okay, fabulous. Well done. Okay, so the spleen is part of your immune system. Can you tell me 3 functions of the spleen? So 3 roles or functions that the spleen has in your body. I'll give you 30 seconds. Lubna started us off, well done. Okay, so Lubna has said the spleen acts as a filter for the blood. Tamim says controls the level of blood cells. Al says filters blood and fights germs in the blood. Okay, that's some good answers. Let's have a look at what I have. Oh, Cameljit has said filters the blood, stores and releases blood cells. Yep, so number 1, filtration of the blood. So all of you are correct. So macrophages actively remove old or damaged red blood cells, cellular debris and foreign particles from the blood. The spleen also acts to destroy red blood cells that are too old or damaged or no longer functional. Remember, erythrocytes is our kind of technical word for red blood cells. And then the spleen can also recycle red blood cell elements. So for example, iron released from heme is recycled and transported back to the bone marrow, where it can be used in the production of new red blood cells. So all of you are correct. Well done. Brilliant. Okay, so another categorise activity. So I want you to think about the 8 statements on the right and decide whether they are statements about Hodgkin's lymphoma or if they are statements about leukemia. Okay, I will give you 60 seconds with the dramatic music. Let's go. So we're thinking about where does it start? What symptoms does it cause? Why does it happen? Okay, so Cameljit started us off saying Hodgkin's lymphoma is 5, overproduction of abnormal white blood cells, 1, reduces the number of red blood cells, and 2, causes swelling in the lymph nodes, weight loss and fatigue. Al's is saying they disagree and think leukemia causes number 2. Anyone else before I reveal? These 2 conditions have some similarities and they are easy to confuse. Okay, Tamim is saying leukemia number 6, cancer originating in the bone marrow. Let's have a look, guys. Okay, so Hodgkin's lymphoma is a cancer that originates in the lymphatic system, whereas leukemia is a cancer originating in the bone marrow. Well done, Tamim. Hodgkin's lymphoma, so lymphoma, lymphatic system, starts in the lymph nodes, whereas leukemia is an overproduction of abnormal white blood cells. Okay. Hodgkin's lymphoma can spread to the spleen, the bone marrow and other organs, and it causes swelling in the lymph nodes, weight loss and fatigue. Leukemia, on the other hand, reduces the number of red blood cells produced and circulated, causing fatigue, weakness and pale skin. Okay, so they have some similar symptoms, but where they originate and what parts of the body, the organ systems they affect is quite different. So make sure you're secure on these. As I said before, you can watch the replay of this or you can download the PowerPoint after the live stream, okay? Amazingly, we have actually got to the end of what I planned to do in the 30 minutes for the first time ever. You've all been brilliant. Have another round of applause. And do download the PowerPoint from the Tutor2 website for some bonus activities. Keep up your revision. I will see you same time next week, so next Wednesday, 6 p.m. And that will be our last live stream because that is the night before your exam. You're all going to be brilliant. You've been working really hard. So good luck, guys, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.